So I'm Silvia Bizio, and I am the film correspondent for the Italian daily newspaper La Repubblica of Italy. Over the course of the years, I've done a lot of interviews with Bukowski for the Los Angeles Times, for Rolling Stone, for the newspaper in Italy I was working for. And a lot of times it was just going there and a lot of drinking until late at night. But one year, in 1981, in fact, I was asked by Italian television to do a brief interview with him, video. And I don't even think it was ever used, but I did hire a crew, and we went with a cameraman and a sound person, and it was all very professional. And what was supposed to be a brief video interview turned into my getting there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and not leaving until 1 o'clock in the morning. And thank goodness we had a lot of tapes, because at the time, and these were the tapes, these were the original videotapes, Betamax, small, 20 minutes each. We had to change the tapes all the time, but he was on a roll. We were talking, we were drinking, we were laughing, we were screaming. He was getting very drunk, I was getting very drunk. We went upstairs, he showed me his typewriter, we talked about the view from his room in San Pedro. In Italy, he is often, his poems are read on stage by actors who love to read. Nothing will ever be like a reading of Bukowski. His readings were epical. The last one at the Sweetwater in Redondo Beach, I was there, I was so lucky to be there. They were a happening. They were a happening. People, were paying tickets to go see him, and they would throw things at him, and he would smoke his cigarettes and drink, and he would say bad words back to the audience, and he would say, okay, let's get this over with, let me read. And he would start taking out sheet after sheet of his poems that he would read, and listening to him read his poems was fun, a lot of fun.
Listen, whatever you want to do, it's all right.
Whatever you want to talk about, it's all right. I wanted to do this first.
I have nothing on my mind. My mind is absolutely... So you should ask me things, because I'm blank.
Blank?
I'm like that, yeah. Paper, white.
We should open it.
Oh, yes. Let's keep... Oh, we have to...
Sure, let's just do it while the camera is going.
Right.
That's fine. Is it rolling?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get some beans.
We brought you a different kind of wine. Let's see if you like this one.
Maybe a different kind of wine will get a different kind of answer. Okay? We can try it.
So maybe I should ask you again. No. Okay. You were telling me that you liked people who hate you more than the ones who love you, right? Remember? I'm talking about
I didn't say I liked them better. I said they were easier on me.
They were
I hardly
easier
like anybody at all.
So you feel that the life you did before, you actually became a writer, redeemed you in a way?
It helped to keep me... Should we use the word sane or normal?
Applied to you?
Don't seem to be the right words.
It doesn't seem like normality is what you're aiming for.
I'm not using... No, but I mean... A certain naturalness could be the word I'm looking for, naturalness.
Do you... Yes?
We can set up a different shot.
Linda.
This bottle, isn't it?
Such good wine. Does Max have one?
Thanks.
Max?
Yep, it's okay.
We are here drinking wine, and we just put the Christmas tree outside. It's January 10th or 11th.
The 10th. Yeah. And Michael.
This is Linda Lee,
Hello.
my nurse. This is Francis Munford. And this is Michael Munford, the photographer who trailed our ass all through Europe, snapping his camera. And a book came out of it called Shakespeare Never Did This. And we got drunk together quite often. And that's what makes good friends and causes troubles too. This is Big Jim here. And this is Sylvia Bizio.
Wow, I got that straight. Yes.
She's a journalist from Italy who drinks wine also. And that's about it, I guess. There's a cameraman there. I've forgotten his name. I was introduced to him when I came back from
Brian.
the trip.
Brian is the cameraman.
Brian.
And Mickey.
Mickey. And there's somebody back there playing with sounds. Jim. Jim has a terrible cold tonight. And he's back there drinking wine and sulking in the dark. So. It's the gold mine, the well, the oil well, you know. If I get a new one, maybe it won't work. I'm superstitious.
Why don't you want to be seen at your typewriter?
For the same reason, you know. Here I'm showing, this is what tells me the secrets. It's bad enough that I talk to you about it. When I used to give readings, you know, I'd get off the airplane and have somebody waiting for me. Here I'd come, they'd say, "Are you Bukowski?" I'd say, "Yes." "What's wrong?" I expect some guy, you know, get off the plane. "Jesus Christ, where's the nearest whorehouse? Give me a drink." Well, I do say, "Give me a drink." Yeah. But they expect this loud voice guy, you know, gets in the taxi, rams his fist through the roof, screams something, you know. You can't do all that stuff. It'll wear you out.
That comes later.
Oh, yeah, after a few drinks. That's hours later. It does happen, it's true. My shit has a lot of drama, you know, bullshit going, action, stuff like that. It doesn't lay still too long. There's not too much thinking in my stuff. People do things almost without thinking. And I write it the same way, almost without thinking. So it seems to work that way. Oftentimes I say things I don't quite mean, but I almost mean, you see. Sometimes I even write this way, but more often I talk this way. So don't take everything I say as exactly so, because it isn't.
So sometimes you fool us all with your writing, is that what you say?
Sometimes I fool myself, and sometimes it comes back in the mail and they say it's not any good at all, Bukowski. I write about all things. You see, the reason sex got into so many of my short stories was because when I quit the post office at the age of 50, I had to make money. What I really want to do is just write a short story about something that interested me. But there were only sex mags on Melrose Avenue. So what I would do, I would write a good story, but I knew somewhere in there I'd have to have some gross act of sex. So I'd write the story and I'd throw the sex in. I'd say, well, it's time for the sex. I'll just jam it in here and I'll continue the story, you see. Of course, I try to make it all fit in. There's nothing, potential never cuts the bacon. You gotta do it. Talking about I could have, or I might be able to, or I'm working an 8-hour job, or I lost my left hand in a meat cleaver. All that doesn't count. You either do it or you don't. All the rest is just crap. If I write it well enough about what's occurring, the audience will always be there. I can write about making rattan chairs in a factory. I can write about millionaires going out to play golf. Writing needn't have to be about the pits or the streets or the jails, though I've written about those things. Good writing can expose anything at any level. I'd say 75% of what I write is good, and 40% of what I write is excellent. 10% of what I write is immortal, and 25% of what I write is crap. Does that add up right? No.
I'm trying to follow.
I'm taking it out of the 100, you see. Mickey, what's wrong?
God, look at those teeth.
You don't trust anybody. You're a Bukowski.
Okay, let's go upstairs. No?
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh, we won't.
Yeah. Is this all right, Linda? Well, here are some slippers. Here's something here. What's this?
So this is where you write?
This is where I fuck my soul. This is the balcony. I'm gonna jump off when I can no longer write. Maybe right now, huh? I probably lived here 3 years, and this is about the 4th time I stepped out here. What's out here?
I don't know.
It's the city of San Pedro.
Well,
That's all there is.
That's
It's
beautiful.
nothing. So, it's nothing.
Is this where you paint too?
This is where I do everything but fuck and eat.
Where do you do the others?
Well, if I haven't fucked for a long time, I guess it was about 10 miles north and 3 miles south. I used to fly in before I took a fuck. I'd fly this thing in and land and say, hey, baby, take a taxi in. We'll fuck, see? But this guy here, he got fired for drunk driving. Drunk flying driving. Now I don't fuck anymore because he doesn't fly me in to take the taxi to where I fuck, where I used to fuck. Okay, let's get out of here. Makes me sick. This is the bedroom where we don't fuck.
Do you read at night before you go to bed?
Do I read?
Yeah.
Read what?
I don't know. I see books lying around. Do you read anything before
She
you go to
reads
bed?
the books. I write them.
Oh, I see.
Let's go downstairs and
Read your
get
books.
drunk. This is disgusting. You know, and I know, and thee know, the cross-eyed craziness of total elation. We know that we have finally not been cheated. You know, and I know, and thee know, as we look at our hands, our feet, our lives, our way, the sleeping hummingbird, the murdered dead of armies, the sun that eats you as you face it. You know, and I know, and thee know, we will defeat death.
What were you telling me about John Fante? How you discovered him in a library when you were 19?
Yeah, well, I used to hang around the library and I kept pulling these books out, opening them up, reading the pages, nothing. So I don't know, one day I'm looking around and I pulled it out, I opened it, and I said, very, very good stuff. called Ask the Dust. It was about Los Angeles. It was right where I was living. I lived in a little shack behind a rooming house. I was trying to be a writer. So here I was in the same territories writing about the Grand Central Market, Angels Flight. I went down Angels Flight every day. I went to the Grand Central Market. Here he's writing about my own neighborhood. And as I went up Angels Flight, I checked the hotel he was writing about. I said, that must be his room right there that he's writing about. I said, maybe he's still in there. Oh, of course, I would never knock, you know. So every time I went by, I'd look at that window. I said, that's where the whore crawled in, through that window, to come see him. And I told him about it. He said, Hank, you had the wrong window.
No.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, so...
But you were saying before, I mean, this is what, instead of talking about John Fante, because you were saying that maybe he's one of the writers who would turn you on.
Turn me on? He did turn me on, yeah. Celine, John Fante, Dostoevsky, D.H. Lawrence. That's about it. That's all you need, those four, and you go from there. Of course, we all like Hemingway when we're young, and then we seem to get over Hemingway.
Hemingway. She said it was in Havana in 1953, and she was visiting him. And one day she saw him, and it was in the afternoon, and he was drunk. He was stretched out on these pillows, drunk. And she took a photo of him, and he looked up and said, "Don't you dare give that photo to anybody." When she came from Italy this summer to visit me, she told me about it, and I said, that must be some photo. She told me that my house was very much like his. We drank, had dinner somewhere. Then she had to take a plane out. The photo is framed at the bottom of my stairway now, looking north. He was fat and he was drunk, and he's in the right place.
Tell him about it. All right. Nice to meet you.
She gets drunk like everybody else. Oh, this is the picture. Who was that that gave it to you?
Hemingway didn't give it to
No, but
me.
who gave it to you?
Feltrinelli.
Oh, Inge Feltrinelli when she came
Yeah,
down.
she said, you don't want to hear all that shit. Anyhow, it's a picture of Hemingway drunk in the morning. So somebody trusted me with this and said I would never show it and all that. Now I'm showing it on film. Great. He'll turn in his grave.
What about other writers? I mean, do you find, have you
guess-
ever read any other writers that would excite you or arouse you, or whose sex scenes you found stimulating?
No, there isn't any good sexual writing I know of. There's some funny sexual writing. Boccaccio. But he just makes you laugh. No, there isn't any good sexual writing that turns me on.
What about Henry Miller?
I can't read Henry Miller.
Why?
Well, he gets to talking about reality and then he gets esoteric. He starts talking about other things. Give you a couple good pages and then he goes on blathering about, I don't know, when he gets into it, I can't read it. He gets into soft areas. He doesn't stay there.
So you feel
And,
that
I felt gypped.
gypped?
Mm.
I don't understand what that means.
Well, I wanted him to stay down in the streets and not get up in the stars too much.
So you really seem to say that, and you say this a lot, that good writing is the writing that stays with reality, that stays with
No,
people
it's-
in the street.
I didn't say that's good writing. I say that's good writing for me.
for you.
for me. So I try to stay in the streets or wherever I am. I try to stay. I only write about things. I don't try to explain them.
But reality doesn't have to be only in the streets, as you told me before. Now
Right.
you have a different human material now, and this is
Right.
still reality.
Right.
No, what I was thinking before when you were telling me that was now that once you've always been concerned in putting quite a distance between you and your readers. And you said once that you want to always have
Me
them to
and
have-
my readers and anybody else.
and anybody
Right.
else. That's also the reason to shock them, to upset people, which is what you like to do with your writings.
No, I simply write. I'm not trying to shock or upset. I just write it down, that's all. I'm not out to shock anybody.
But you say to me that if people start studying women, your book,
Yeah.
Women, in the same way in which they study your poems and factotum in the universities, then you're going to have to push a little more and write something else that would recreate that distance. I mean, what is that
That
space
means
that you always want to have?
If you're,
between you?
it's a matter if you're accepted too early, you're not doing it well enough.
Accepted too early in life?
In your time, if you're too well accepted, you're not doing a good job. You should always be a little bit ahead of your time. When your critics agree with you, when your readers agree with you, you're not quite there. I think any creator should be at least 100 years ahead.
Do you ever have any feeling that maybe that's the reason why? Oh well, I shouldn't say this.
Go
but-
ahead, that I'm getting popular now.
Well, that you're being so popular in Europe, much more than here, after all, if you think about it. Is that because? How do you explain that?
Well, in the newspaper interview, I told you that. I think Europe is 100 years ahead. So, there I'm on time. Here,
Yeah, but
I haven't arrived.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't worry you then that you're not ahead of them there.
No, because I don't live there. If I lived there, I'd really have to step on the gas pedal, I guess.
Oh, I see.
Well, as long as it's only once.
I've heard that Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, said of you that you are the only poet in America.
I don't know anything
And
about
then he
it.
died.
Well, that makes me safe, doesn't it? Whether he said it or not, well, he might have said it. I don't know. I doubt that he said anything of the kind. But of course, I don't know. Even if he did, it wouldn't matter.
The only thing that can be understood about that, as far as Hank is concerned, is that when we were in Paris, his publisher said, I talked to Sartre, and he said he would like to meet Bukowski, and that's all. And Hank said, no, there's no reason to. I don't have any desire to.
I don't like
That's
writers.
the only rapport that ever really existed between Hank and him. Nothing
Also, you
else.
never met Sartre. And you didn't want to meet Sartre.
I said I don't like writers. He was too fancy for my ass. Even Camus. But I think I would have gone to see Camus because he did write The Stranger. Why go to see another writer? What's to be said? There's nothing to be said. There's only things to be done, not to be said.
Well, but the speak.
Talking to another writer is like drinking water when you're in the bathtub, It's just, it isn't done. You ever drink water in the bathtub?
No, do you?
You see? I drink wine in the bathtub.
Is there any living writer that you respect?
There are a couple. But it's best if I don't see them while I'm drinking wine. Most writers will start talking about their work. They won't say, well, my wife broke her arm yesterday. They'll never mention their wife. They'll mention they're working on a sonnet, or I'm going to New York to do something, and they're talking shop.
Is that why you don't like them?
That's one of the reasons.
What about their writings?
I don't like the way they wear their clothes, I don't like the shoes they wear, and I don't like their writings, no.
Anybody's?
I don't like their voice tone. I don't like the way they puke after 3 drinks. Writers are very despicable people. Plumbers are better. Used car salesmen are better. They're all more human than writers. Writers save their humanity till they sit down to a typewriter. Then they become good people or exceptional people. Get them away from a typewriter, they're pricks. I'm a writer.
And still you don't think that of yourself.
Not quite.
Why?
Because, well, I worked the factories. I didn't become a writer until I was 50. So this gave me time to live in a different area of existence.
I was asking him, what is the best compliment that you think a male reader can give you? And what is the best compliment that a woman reader can give you?
Well, the women readers always do the same thing, or when I'm giving a reading, they come up and they say, I'm going to fuck you. The males don't say that. They say, geez, man, you're great. So the female statement usually arouses me more, a little bit more.
Oh, the males readers like you more, eh?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
You think that's a general thing of women, of not liking your writings, but still they come to the poetry reading and they get excited.
To throw things, yes.
But they read you. They read your books.
They never miss.
I think women care for his writing more. There's just not as many of them, because not as many of them have been exposed to his writing. But when they read it, I think they're much more appreciated if they really read it. I would think so too. I was introduced to your books by a woman friend, who in turn was introduced to your book by another woman friend, and all of us would get together and have great talks about it, and which I was never able to do much with my men friends. So I think that's right, what you're saying. The women, after all, do like your writing.
Well, when a female tells a male she likes my writing, this is immediately attack upon his maleness, you see.
Why?
I don't know why, but they feel it's an affront. This is a male thing. And if a male tells a male it's good writing, it's okay. Don't ask me why, that's the way life works.
So you're painting a lot of these cartoons now to give to Black Sparrow Press. To put in which book?
It's going to be called, it's the next book of poems. I haven't gotten a title yet. I do 150 for each book.
Can you imagine that? 150 different ones?
I used to do maybe 10, 12 a night. Linda would sit there while I got drunk, making these drunk. I'd say, shit, well, I did 12 tonight, 12 tomorrow.
And how the factory thing, you know, it's like he's on a
I never got out of the factory.
Art, as the spirit wanes, the form appears. Anything from the audience?
Fuck you, Bukowski.
When? Anybody else?
Come
What
on.
bothers me is when she cusses.
He hates me
When
to
she
curse.
says shit or god damn it,
I
fuck.
love to curse.
I get mad for 3 hours.
I love to say those words. I say, oh God, oh shit, this is horrible.
No, you don't
he-
say it's
Or
horrible.
I'll say, oh shit. I'll get mad at something. And he'll get upset at me. He won't look at me. He'll
It's
go
dumb.
walk upstairs. He says shit.
It's ignorant.
and I'm not even supposed
but
to.
I don't
It's
say
like
shit
word
the way
"the."
you do. You say, oh shit. I say, shit. You see, there's a way of saying shit. You
Yeah.
don't know how to say
Well,
it
there's a
right.
masculine and there's a feminine.
A feminine, this little griping, scratching madness irritates
And that's
me.
exactly where it is. And that's why it comes out like that, because that's what I'm feeling at the time.
Well, I should live with a man then. Myself.
It matters little. Very little love is not so bad, or very little life. What counts is waiting on walls. I was born for this. I was born to hustle roses down the avenues of the dead.
I don't want to show.
You seem to talk a lot about your own pleasure, your own sexual pleasure. But we don't know much about the way your women felt.
Well, of course, I start with my pleasure. If there's any left over, they can have that. When I'm satisfied, I'm finished. 10 seconds, it's all over.
You've got
Sometimes it's 3 or 4 seconds. And there's never any foreplay. It's just get under there. Let's get it done with so I can look at TV.
Oh, yeah, he likes to turn on Johnny Carson immediately after. Turn him on. Hopefully, it'll be the monologue. Sometimes
We
he
have
times
to,
it
we have to,
so
yes,
it'll be
get it out of the
just
way.
in time for the opening monologue.
We have to get that stuff
It's like
out
having
of
an
the way.
orgasm with Johnny Carson.
Oh, God.
So it's a good conclusion to
Johnny Carson
sex.
after sex. Sometimes he's better than the sex which preceded it. Sometimes he isn't. We all have our bad nights. Doesn't bother me. If they don't like what I'm doing, they go to the next guy. And they usually do, you see. Let him do all the foreplay and all the stuff, you know. After it's all over, she's only going to scream at him, call him a son of a bitch anyhow. I'm going back into celibacy.
Would become celibate.
Are you really? Oh, yes. What?
It's good
Why
for
not?
her.
It's good for him.
Allows me to pick the winners better at the races.
Is that right? You're becoming celibate?
It just happens. If it happens. Yes. Well, I get to a point with it where I start laughing in the middle of it. And a lot of things become very ridiculous. It's definitely there and definitely important. But it's definitely not as important as especially Americans make it.
Like I make it in my stories, right?
It might be okay to write about.
Oh, what the hell are you talking about? I never got a hard on? Jesus Christ, what is this shit? You're wiping me clean off the slate here, baby. What is this big sex? Why is everything sex? Can't I ride a bicycle down the street without thinking of sex? And am I an impure person because I don't think about fucking? Is my mind wrong because I don't have a hard-on 50% of the time?
No, but I'm not
I've got nothing
saying
against
that.
fucking, but I mean, it can be overpriced.
But that's what you write.
I have fucked, and I have fucked well. I've written well about it. It doesn't mean it's very important.
Well, but that's why I raised the subject, and that's why I was talking about it, because anybody who's read your books, who is interested in what you've been doing, would be surprised to hear that you would have this
It's
attitude
not
towards
important.
it.
No, I fucked a great many women. I fucked all my life. I fucked and I drank and I fucked and I drank. I found out by fucking and drinking, it doesn't mean all that much.
Can I go back for a second?
No.
to women and sex.
You seem to like that subject.
Well, don't
Are you
you always write
starved
about
for
it.
this? Well, that's what sells, my dear.
Is that the only reason you talk about it?
Of course.
Because it sells?
Yes.
Well, I don't believe it.
So what's your sex question? Your next question, your sex. The half losers.
I mean, wasn't it essentially, several years of celibacy that you decided?
Several years, it must have been 10 or 12 years. I hadn't had a one. In fact,
That's how it starts.
you build up your sperm count, right? Anyhow, they just didn't. Well, I guess I knew way ahead of time that there were more trouble than the pleasure involved.
But you still had to go through the experience. You had to find out.
Because I felt, being a writer and being without women for 12 years, I mean, you can write about many things, but if you miss the other half of the human race, I mean, you're not a complete living person. I mean, you don't know what the hell's going on, right? I mean, you should have some type of balance. If you're going to put women down, you got to live with them first. So I lived with them in order to put them down, you see.
Hank, we have great wine in Italy.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, doesn't that make
That's
you
not
feel...
reason enough.
Doesn't that make you feel like you want to go?
Not in the least. I can drink it right here. I can drink all the Italian wine that my body can hold right here. Next question.
What I wanted to ask you is if the racetrack comes into your life and if it creates any conflict with Linda Lee.
Oh, yeah. We have our greatest arguments when I'm in a hurry to go to the racetrack in the morning and she wants to feed me orange juice or fry me an egg or something like that, It infuriates me.
Yeah, but he has to be. I think it is good to be nourished for that. Even physically, I think it's good.
Jesus.
Even going to the races. Like
There's a mental, spiritual
going to
aspect.
the chariot
to
races,
be-
for Christ's sake. He's gotta have his fucking vitamins, don't you see?
Jesus Christ.
Sure.
I'm going to have vitamins
Why
to
not?
die?
No, you have to have vitamins to get better. And
Better for
continue to
what?
get better. For yourself.
Good girl.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Not yet.
We don't intermix our philosophies, right? I let you have yours and you let me have mine.
Perfect.
I'm 60 and she's 23. And she gets the royalties and the castle and
Well, I'm 37 and he's 60.
And I'll bury your ass at Green Harbor Cemetery. Every time we pass it, I tell her, I'm going to dump you here, baby. Where do you want? Do you want it to be in front or in the back or
In the front.
in the front?
Absolutely.
I'll bring one of my whores and we'll laugh over your grave. And she'll bring one of her boyfriends. Hey, there he is. Okay.
It's usually when Linda's laughing at me, I start laughing with her about something. She gets me laughing, and then I laugh at the same thing. Something dumb I do. When was the last time I did something dumb? Did we write it down?
About 15 minutes ago, I think.
15 minutes ago, but I wasn't
Made me
laughing.
No,
What did you do?
no, well, he said
said-
something that made me laugh, but he was
what's
too
the
intent on the
last-
thing to get off on it.
What is it that made you laugh?
Well, there's a lot of things that people ask and demand of him, and he can't laugh at them even though he thinks they might have some humor in them, because you're too busy entertaining.
Being Bukowski.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's tough, huh?
Poor thing.
That's real tough. Well, you see, the feelings you have and the feelings I have are different. If we intermix them, maybe I will dilute your feelings, or maybe you'll dilute mine.
So I think it's important not to intermix feelings among people.
Not to share them by talking about them in a large group of people,
But that's
as we're doing now. It's deathly.
But it's okay between two people who love each other.
Not even then. There should be things kept untold. Like, I may see my woman walking across the room, and I think she's very cute the way she walks or something. But I keep it to myself. I don't say. When she comes back out of the bathroom, I don't say, "Darling, you look so cute walking toward the bathroom." Because the next time she walks toward the bathroom, she's going to think I'm looking cute walking toward the bathroom. See, there are things you leave alone eternally so they can keep existing. You don't push things. You don't talk about love. You don't bring things out. You just let them be. I let them be, rather. I don't know what you do.
Do you think people are really worried about your soul?
People have always been worried about my soul. When I first started writing, the writers I would know after I'd written 2 or 3 years would come around and say, "Bukowski, you have slipped. Bukowski, you can't do it anymore." I've heard this for 10, 15, 20 years. The voice, there's always somebody saying, "You don't have it anymore." And this is something you just live with. You let them worry about your soul and you go on creating good writing. Praise tends to weaken. Fame tends to weaken. Praise tends to weaken. Fame is a form of praise. If people hate you, you tend to stick to your whatever you're doing and do it just as well or better. Take all these people in the world. They're more full of hate than they are love. This is our society. Let's go with the flow. Let's not kid ourselves.
When did you discover that the world was full of hate?
Me? Well, I was probably about 2.5 years old, and I looked around. I saw my grandmother's face.
And you saw hate in her face?
I saw the world in her face. They say that when I was very small, she bent over my cradle to give me a kiss, and I punched her in the nose. Used to come around and say, "Henry, when I tried to kiss you in your cradle, you reached out and you punched me in the nose." Can you see this face coming down? This is the whole world coming down to kiss me. So if she tried to kiss me then, I would have done the same thing. I would have kicked her in the ass.
Gets everything, right?
Oh, because that What about this book that you're writing now, the book on childhood?
3/4 finished. According to my editor, it's the best thing I've done. But it's not finished. It's a horror story. And it's been harder to write than the others. But, because it's so serious, but I've tried to put in some lightness and some humor so we won't really feel the utter grimness of my childhood.
You call your childhood a horror story?
Oh, yes.
It was a horror story?
Oh, yes. Capital H.
Why?
Why? Have you ever been beaten with a razor strop 3 times a week from the age of 6 until 11? You know how many beatings that is?
Who was that, your father?
Yeah. So, you see, this was very good literary training for me. Beating me with that strop taught me something.
What did he teach you?
How to type.
What's the link?
The link is when you get the shit kicked out of you long enough and long enough and long enough, you will have a tendency to say what you really mean. In other words, you have all the pretense beat out of you. If you come through that and you still have something left, it can tend to be pretty real. Anyone who takes severe punishment through childhood, many things can happen. Either you come through pretty good, pretty strong, or the other thing happens. You become a murderer, a rapist, you go into a madhouse, or you just go off into any number of tangents. But my father was a great literary teacher. He taught me the meaning of pain. Pain without reason. He put me through a certain school of life that taught me where certain sections of life were, and those sections of life are always there. Those kinds of people exist always. I meet them on the freeway every day while I'm driving my car.
What kind of people?
Well, let me say, I'm going behind a guy in a fast lane. He's doing 50 miles an hour. I start to swing around him. I start to pass him. He does 55, 60. I do 60. There's this thing about the human race that is very petty and very bitter. You can see it the way people drive on the freeways. When somebody wants to pass me, I step on the brake, I let him go. The human race isn't very much.
Have you felt like that all along? Or do you think there's this feeling?
They haven't improved. I haven't noticed any change. In one of my poems, there's a line that says, "Humanity, you never had it from the beginning." I see no reason to alter that line at this moment.
The dead come running sideways, holding toothpaste ads. The dead are drunk on New Year's Eve, satisfied at Christmas, thankful on Thanksgiving, bored on the 4th of July, laughing on Labor Day, confused at Easter, cloudy at funerals, clowning at hospitals, nervous at birth. The dead shop for stockings and shorts and belts and rugs and vases and coffee tables. The dead dance with the dead sleep with the dead eat with the dead get hungry looking at hogs' heads, the dead get rich, the dead get deader. Those sons of bitches, this graveyard above the ground, one tombstone for the mess. I say, humanity, you never had it from the beginning.